that now. I can't stop my legs. Good afternoon, this is Robert Klein. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I'm from the Bronx, but we're on Hollywood Babble-On.
We're going to go now to one of my heroes, actually, and a comedy icon, and I consider a voice of a generation, groundbreaker, Mr. Robert Klein.
Hello.
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. You can't hear me?
Well, I've been listening. Not only can I hear you, I've been listening to you for many years because you're my guru, man. You're a voice of a generation, and you've got your new DVD set out, 8 concerts, HBO, and I'm so thrilled to be able to talk to you. I have these different people on, and David Lynch. I don't get nervous. I'm actually nervous talking to you.
He's sweating, Robert.
Oh, please. I'm just immortal and a legend, but please, feel at ease.
No pressure.
I mean, I'm just an ordinary person. I put my pants on 2 legs at a time in the morning, which is, supernatural.
Impressive.
But no, this box set is a wonderful thing because even though I've been around forever, and my work is really underexposed for a number of reasons. The body of my work on HBO, which is the first 8 specials. I'm working on special number 9 for 2008. They were not seen by many people. HBO was a very small outfit when it started for Time Life. So this is a chance for people to see, stuff that they probably had not seen before.
Well, but the thing is that I think people need to know you actually did the very first comedy concert.
I did.
And that's
awesome.
It was Can you talk a little bit about it? Was groundbreaking because of, in part, freedom of language and the different limited venues that you had leading in up to that point.
No, you're absolutely right. There was a guy named Harlan Kleiman who was programming HBO at the time.
Nice Irish guy.
And they had about 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers in eastern Pennsylvania, in Manhattan and Long Island. And he had this idea, why not take a kid like Klein, you put him in his college concert natural environment instead of the 8 minutes on the Johnny Carson show, and he can say what he wants and the language and whatever else. This phone is lousy. I'm going to change phones here. Let me see.
All right.
Is this better?
It is better. It is better.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. And thus was born the HBO series, and it's been the most marvelous thing I did. I've done 8 shows for them, all of which are on this thing.
Wow.
The first 4 or 5, my goodness, they didn't have that big a subscribership. A lot of people have never seen this stuff.
Right.
And even in the most recent ones, a lot of people just don't have HBO, and so there's a chance to rent it or buy it. It certainly is modest at $39.95, and I heard that Amazon has it at the moment for $29.95. It's a body of work, and I can't help but be modestly proud of it. I think it's pretty good work.
Well, you should be proud of it because I've been watching all of them actually, and it's like a Twilight Zone marathon only with Robert Klein. So,
I was on that, huh?
Yeah, it was great. So the thing that I enjoy, and I think that people will enjoy, and what makes you a standout comic for me, is that your act is about something. It's about life, people, everyday experiences. And when you go back and you watch the stand-up from 1975, it's not dated. You can still relate to all the jokes because it's about behavior. It's about people, which is something that's really lacking today in so much of the comedy, where every comic has got to punctuate everything by grabbing his dick, and yeah. I enjoy that about you.
Yeah. Marty, that's very kind of you, and I actually agree with you. I mean, I'm not a prude. I mean, I use, some profanity like a novelist would, like a writer. Profanity is part of our language. I remember I did a show at Georgetown years ago, the wonderful university, at Catholic University, and there were like a dozen friars sitting in the audience with their robes and big wooden crucifixes around their neck. They were screaming with laughter.
Really?
I used a few profane words, but we were all adults, and
You went to confession afterward, and you were okay.
That's correct. I didn't know how, being Jewish, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it with the rabbi either. I'm one of these bacon and egg Jews.
That's okay. We're always looking to convert. That's how Catholics are. Reel you on in. That's okay. And then they can play back your act and tell you where you went wrong.
Unbelievable. It's hard for me to believe until I look in the mirror, although I'm not in bad shape. I mean, just how long I've been doing this and how joyful a trip it's been, to quote the Grateful Dead, in a way. I don't know. I chose the right profession. I went to college to be a doctor. A few things got in my way: calculus, physics, organic chemistry, reading, spelling, comprehension, behavior, aptitude, attitude, and talent. I went into history, political science, but it was which is the proper preparation for comedy, but the adjunct sort of avocation, participating in the college plays and that sort of thing, and it sort of, I always was meant to do this. I was a living room entertainer for my relatives. I was a class clown.
Where did you grow up, Robert?
Wonderful ride.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Bronx.
And yet you're a Met fan. Why aren't you a Yankee fan?
I love all the New York teams, but I was born 2 blocks from Yankee Stadium, so it's Yankees over Mets. And even when they face each other in the World Series, I wanted the Mets to win one game, which they did. It's Giants over Jets, but I want the Jets to win. It's Knicks over Nets and Rangers over the other ones. But, I'm a homie.
Well, now I want you to...
I'm a guy that I'm a New York guy. And I never moved out there to L.A., which probably would have strategically been better. But I must say that I've been there just by coincidence, for both of the major earthquakes of the 20th century, floods, fires, pestilence. I've lived in L.A., I've done long projects there, and it's kind of like a second city to me. I think I'm an honorary Angelino, but I'm an Easterner, and I've always stayed here. And show business is basically there. So,
well, I think the great thing about your act is it doesn't matter regionally where you're at. You talk about things that people can relate to. Something as benign as going to school, choosing your college, and the things that go on. It's something that you can relate to.
All good comedy. Yeah. All good comedy, just like all good literature, is universal. I mean, I love A Child's Christmas in Wales, Dylan Thomas. I've never been in Wales, much less know anything about A Child's Christmas there, but his book is so fantastic and explains in such universal terms a little boy's angst and his fears and worries and happiness and so forth. So I hope that my stuff... I love it when I go to Utah and people relate to it,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the improv in the early days before the improv was the improv and the different people you were performing with on a nightly basis and how that groomed you improvisationally and that type of thing in New York?
Well, that was my Yale Drama School of stand-up comedy. That's where the Cauldron, where I learned. And Rodney Dangerfield, I'll tell you, you don't know who to believe. He was my professor. And that's where I met Richard Pryor, Bette Midler. Danny Aiello was the bouncer. It was a wonderful place. And it was the only club of its kind, only to be copied many, many times over in the future. And it was a wonderful, exciting place where Liza Minnelli might pop in to rehearse a song. Do you remember Jackie Vernon? Are you that
Sure.
Jackie was a huge comedian on the Ed Sullivan Show. He used to come in and try out his jokes with his trumpet and all that. It was a unique place. There was no other place like it. You couldn't get up on stage unless you had some professional credentials. Although occasionally a waitress with no talent got up there, mostly with big breasts, I don't know.
That's always
I don't want to cast any aspersions. Maybe the owner had some agenda, but basically there were talented people that got up, and then famous people would come by. Lily Tomlin might do 5 minutes. Richard Pryor would do some improvs. They were not superstars. They were all starting out, but they had some reputation. So it was a wonderful place.
But you're really in that realm where it was before the comedy explosion and coming out of that period with Ed Sullivan and strip clubs for comics and all of that, and into this transition, and then to HBO, and then the comedy explosion into the 80s where there was a comedy club on every corner. And what was that like for you to see that develop when you were in such a finite group to now suddenly there's so many comics?
You know what? I was a little advanced of that, so, but it affected a lot of my colleagues. In other words, I wasn't affected by it because I was doing upscale gigs.
Right.
Made a lot of money, but I remember bumping into Paula Poundstone in San Francisco saying this, comedy clubs,
right.
Everybody who used to do shtick in a living room is working, doing stuff. You know what the interesting irony is? That television killed nightclubs.
Right.
The idea of the nightclub, the Latin Quarter, the Copacabana in New York, the famous nightclub, television killed it. People didn't go out and see variety anymore. Then HBO, and I did the first show, HBO eventually created a whole new comedy club business.
Right.
And not only HBO, but A&E at the Improv. Remember Bud Friedman's show?
Sure.
Done from Melrose.
West Hollywood.
Ironically, it recreated the nightclub business. So, and then comedy clubs. And then there was a tremendous explosion, and a lot of guys and gals, I guess, came in from the living room who perhaps would be better left to working in the post office or whatever else, and they began to work, and a lot of the comics who had spent a lot of time on the road and honing their material resented it. But you know what? Like a kind of natural Darwinism, it shook itself out, and there was a pancaking. A lot of comedy clubs went out of business. A lot of comedians who were not really good enough to be professionals left, and the thing kind of shook itself out to a natural thing.
Yeah,
so what you described was true.
Well, we've got a text board here, and so some people who are listening are texting in questions and
everybody
comments,
who's listening
and
is
people are talking
in.
about how much they love you. And I've got somebody walking right in front of my question here as I'm about to ask it, but they want to know if you're going to do You Can't Feel Your Leg Again. Your whole bit.
If I'm going to do what?
Your bit with your dancing leg. Where you're playing the harmonica.
In every one of the HBO specials, and there have been 8, and they're all 8 on this new box set, we do I Can't Stop My Leg. I Can't Stop My Leg. We do it as a blues shuffle, but we also did it in the last show as a salsa number. No puedo parar mi pierna. No puedo parar mi pierna. And we did it as a hip-hop the show before. I can't stop my leg. Ooh, I can't stop my leg.
Get it, leg.
And when we did it as a Broadway, in one of the shows, Robert Klein on Broadway, I was surrounded by gorgeous chorus girls with top hats. I can't stop my leg on Broadway. Nothing can stop it now. It's a bit of absurdity in an otherwise intelligent man's career. I don't know how. I know how it started as a blues thing at the Improv years ago with Ray Johnson, a marvelous jazz musician. And the audience exploded when I was doing a harmonica riff, and suddenly I blurted out, and my leg was going, I can't stop my leg.
Well, doesn't the best stuff come out of improvisation?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, we got...
My stuff...
Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
No, my stuff I create in the old Second City manner that I learned in Chicago in 65, 66, where I was hired with Fred Willard. We didn't even know each other. We both got the job out of 30 other actors. Went to Second City in 65. It's what comes off the top of your head. And you have to be observant. And, these kids today, I wouldn't call them kids, on some of these improvisational television shows are so fantastic,
Right.
But, this stuff comes from, initially it's improvised.
So you're working with Fred Willard so long ago, and now you're co-starring with him in Iron Abbey, which I saw, and I thought you were tremendous, and I think you really humanized the film. You really bring a reality to the film, and you're one of the few comedians who can act, which I always find interesting because I always find that a lot of comics, they're so used to doing their own shtick, they have a hard time listening and reacting to the person, but you don't. And why is that?
I saw the movie out in the LA Film Festival. Thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome.
Fred and I think one of the times I hosted the Tonight Show, I had him do some sketch with me. Other than that, we haven't worked together in 40 years. It's a delicious little movie. I saw it first at the LA Film Festival. Got some nice notices. I've seen it twice since. It's delightful. It opens in LA and New York, I think, on the 14th. And it's kind of a quirky comedy, and with a wonderful cast: Jason Alexander, Francis Conroy.
Yeah, we had Jennifer Westfeldt on last week.
What'd you say?
We had Jennifer Westfeldt on last week.
She's so talented. Not only is she delicious, I hate to use that word again.
No, that's a good word.
Yeah, Robert.
Hi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Not only is she delicious, but she's such a talented writer. I mean, the script is so wise. It questions the feelings that people have about marriage and love in general in very intelligent and thoughtful ways. And I just can't get over her. She was wonderful to work with. And I love this film. It's one of the favorite. I've been in 35 films. This is one of my favorites of a nice little neat piece of work that they put together for $3 or $4 million instead of $35 million or $200 million. And if this doesn't make people smile, I don't know what would.
And that's it. It's a fun movie. It's you had a hard day. Go have a few laughs, and it's a nice story, and the acting's terrific.
It's even more than fun. It's thoughtful. I mean, it is laughing. But you know what? It was wonderful working with all these people. We all did it for short bread, so to speak. And if it makes some money, we'll make money. But we had such a good time shooting it here in New York, and it was getting a little chilly in the fall season, and I love working close to home. I've worked, everywhere, a lot in L.A. too, but I love being close to home. And I just think it's a good piece, and people seem to love it. So we'll see what happens.
I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to be a sleeper hit because it's good, and there just aren't those types of comedies being made. They just aren't. It's either really sophomoric bullshit that is being made or something that's very highbrow, and I think this is it hits the mark. I think it's going to do well. Now,
this director, I can't remember his name because I'm old. This kid, I mean, I call everyone a kid because they're 30 years younger than I am. I mean, he was very methodical, and I love what I saw. I mean,
that's good.
And for a long time, I've been an advocate of making more films for less money. I mean, I've been in things like Primary Colors, Mike Nichols' $69 million budget. Of course, Travolta got 20 and Mike got 10, and they were entitled to it. But, my God, we had 2-hour lunches with 5 choice barbecues at Universal,
right.
What you want for lunch. I thought a movie has to be made and made efficiently and you know what I mean? And
so throw some creativity at it instead of money.
Well, you know what I mean? I like a nice, comfortable. I'm an actor who's been around a long time. I certainly like a dressing room that isn't a rat infested or something. But I ask for very little. I don't need 2-hour lunches. Let's do the work.
Yeah.
And let's do it. But I thought this was an extraordinarily creative project, Iron Abbey. She co-wrote Kissing Jessica Stein, which was a very successful independent movie, and I think this one's going to be even bigger. I really do.
I think so too, because it appeals to a wider audience range, which is everybody. You can be anybody and relate to this. It's about relationships.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
But instead of being superficially cute, it actually attacks issues, which I like very much.
Absolutely.
This is one of the happiest quality projects I've been associated with. Hey, every actor has to make a living.
That's
so
right.
You take projects like the monster from the deep sewer or whatever. I mean, as long as it doesn't extol the American Nazi Party, I'm on board, baby. But, this is really a quality little piece of work, and it was a joy to work with old friends like Jason and meet people like Francis Conroy and David Margulies, who everyone will recognize from The Sopranos. He played the lawyer. He's been in 4 million movies. I know him for 40 years in the New York theater community. It was just we had such a wonderful time doing it, and knowing that everyone's just taking a few bucks home and we're doing it because we like it.
Right.
That was great.
Now, we're getting a couple questions on the board, and they're asking, Scrimp Daddy here is his handle. It's like a personalized license plate. He wants to know, who did you look up to comedy-wise? Who was somebody for you that you always admired or was inspirational for you?
Well, we'll start with the ancients. W.C. Fields, the Marx Brothers, Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chaplin, Rodney Dangerfield, my mentor. If he's talking about the people that are working now, there are some very bright ones. Chris Rock, Jeff Cesario. I love Larry David's work on his show. The honest truth is, I don't avoid it, but I'm not keyed in to who's new and who's up. I don't read Variety. I never did, and that's not a brag. That's an admission of stupidity. I'm not really up on who's who. I've always been kind of creatively isolated and into my own thing. But I'd say those are a few, and certainly in the ancients, I loved all the great ones, Jack Benny and so forth and so on. There are some very, very clever people. I hate the Def Comedy Jam for its gross profanity, and I'm not a prude. On the other hand, there's some talented kids on that. They're so hilarious. So, I mean, everybody has a chance at the top. I begrudge no one.
Don't you think it mimics a lot of what's going on in society, the dumbing down of society, whether it's the films or even across the board? If you look at just lyrics of songs, there are no lyrics. Nothing is motivating. Everything is angry and talking about how terrible things are, when I think really it's really the best time of the world, really, if you look back in history of what was going on and the way things are now, from medicine down the line. Everybody's so pissed off, and we've never had more.
Yeah, that's true. That's an interesting point. I decry the lack of taste and subtlety. I certainly, some of these murderous lyrics, we cannot legally censor, but there's no question that, stuff like that contributes to violence. And I'm less worried about sexual themes, although the women's movement has taken 2 steps back, not from its own doing. People make fun of it, and you see women trashed in these videos. I don't know. I think America has dumbed down in the last 35 years significantly. Computers are important, but, everything has to be in your face and unsubtle, and who the hell knows what it feels like to sit in a corner and read a book. Half of American students don't know what country is to the immediate south. There's a lot of stuff to lament about America dumbing down.
Right.
And some of this has to do with that. Dumb lyrics too, I guess.
Right.
I'm not about to censor them except with my pocketbook and my channel selector, but I do lament it a little bit. People are not reading, newspapers are dying, books are not being sold. That's not good.
No, it's not good. And in an open society, it's becoming very politically correct. And if on both sides of the aisle, if you're Republican, they're going to question whether or not you're an American, and if you're a liberal, they question whether or not you like people. And it's not about ideas anymore and just disputing the idea. It's suddenly about who you are. They're going to attack you personally on everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that erudition, the art of learning and knowing something is not respected enough. I think that Republican Democrat has almost lost its meaning.
Absolutely.
You know, if you ask me, am I more a Republican or a Democrat? I'm probably more a Democrat, but I'm not pleased with the people there. But I mean, the current administration and the way this direction this country is taken, these people must be voted out. If it were a parliamentary democracy, they would have been out 5 years ago. They have failed utterly. Not telling you to conserve. Vice President Cheney, well, conservation is a nice personal value, but it's not government policy. Not government policy. Buy more Hummers, give more money to Saudi Arabia and the people that, the government doesn't sponsor terrorism, but rich oil magnates in the Middle East do. And the whole thing is stupid and sick, and we put more particulates into the air. And I, as a person who's been in Southern California so much of my life, why wouldn't every rooftop be fitted with the simplest low-tech,
solar
panels to heat your water? Just heat your water. That's that much less gas being burned. I mean, the whole thing is stupid, and that greed in the movie Wall Street. It really turns out to be true. I think there are some people that believe that the American way is more. Never mind, what we're doing now. China and India are catching up, and China is putting so much garbage into the that it's quite alarming. The world has been in greater jeopardy. I was born in 1942, so I don't remember the war, but I mean, the fact that we could have lost to these horrible regimes in Japan and Germany. I think times were worse. In fact, after 9/11, which, by the way, Marty, no one can calculate the feelings of unless you're a New Yorker. I was at Disney at the time doing a series with Jason Alexander called Bob Patterson, which went into the toilet. But we at least filmed 10 of them.
Well, one of our listeners actually was going to ask you about that.
He was so hurt by it. And what were you going to say? I'm sorry. I've talked endlessly.
No. We just, the people are making.
I'll talk some more now.
No, people are making so many comments.
That voice, that female voice that laughs.
Yeah, I got my.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. I thought I heard you before, although, I thought Marty's voice went up for a second.
Well, he just got really excited when you were on the phone.
On the phone.
That's how excited I am, Robert. They're asking about Bob Patterson's show. That they're saying that it was a great show. That they enjoyed.
I thought it was pretty funny.
They enjoyed you, and
it was gross. It was silly. I thought it was hilarious, and we debuted right around 9/11. By the way, I'm doing Leno's show next week on 9/11. Perfect night for comedy.
Nice. Yeah, that says comedy to me. Now, Rendog wants to know what it was like working with Adam Sandler and Cheadle.
Oh, Adam. Actually, I worked with him once before out in Venice on a Nora Ephron movie called Mixed Nuts with Steve Martin. Oh, Adam is a doll. He's a terrific guy. Cheadle is a terrific guy. That was a wonderful movie. It got buried. It got pretty good reviews, but people just don't want to hear about that. And they didn't even show any of the World Trade Center or anything. Just the theme was about that. Adam is very smart, and he wants to prove to his audiences that he can do serious acting.
That he's not
the
Jerry
fact
Lewis.
That comedy is harder is irrelevant. He wants to show, and he's chosen great roles. He was brilliant in this movie, and it was overlooked. I thought he and Cheadle, who underplayed, played a dentist. They both were brilliant.
Well, Rendog wants you to know that he just pre-ordered your DVD set for the 25th.
Fantastic! You got it for $29.95 at Amazon.
See, you guys are working as a team. It's great. Now, for me, where did you're big into music, and and Steve Martin's got the banjo, and Jack Benny's got the violin. For me, you're the guy with the harmonica, man, and you make it. It's such perfect for the comedy because it puts everybody in a good mood, man. It's such a great way when you close with something like that. It's great.
Well, comedy and music are very close.
Mm-hmm.
And Sid Caesar was a saxophone player. Jackie Vernon played the trumpet. It's not unusual, the combination. I always was very musical. Like, I could sing as a young child with very excellent pitch. And I've always used it in my shows. In a couple of these shows, there's doo-wop music. One called Fabulous 50s was one of my first songs. The other one is called, I forgot, You or something like that. And I did all the voices of the doo-wop group, all five. It was like an ego trip come true. I overlapped my voice in the recording studio, and I'm, from the beginning, from the top to the bottom, or in this case, bottom.
That's awesome.
All the voices, and it sounds like an authentic Harlem group at the corner of 111th Street and Lenox Avenue in 1955, singing good doo-wop. I always loved doing music, and my theory always was, if you're going to do music, and especially if you're going to evoke a smile, some of the songs are downright funny. The Colonoscopy song was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in 2001. 2000.
Colonoscopy is taking it home. That's good comedy.
Be good. Make the music good. What about the colonoscopy? Do you have one?
No, not yet. Don't rush me. I'll get there soon enough.
Well,
that's a great experience, isn't
sure
it?
It's not in your family. You have to do it. My friend Joel Siegel just died. He was brought up there on Olympic Boulevard. Nobody told him it was in his family, and he waited a long time. It's not my family, but I'm cool in that way. I have several polyps, and I've had them bronzed in the New York Historical Society.
That's very, very nice. Now, I know.
By the way, President Bush's polyps are going for $50,000 each on eBay.
Wow.
I'm trying that joke out. It's not working. All right.
Well, you know what? There's no laugh track here, so people at home may be laughing. Don't go by that. Now, I got it all.
You know what I'm worried about?
What's that?
President Bush Sr. and Clinton have become friends, which is lovely. They've done wonderful things, tsunami stuff and all. But I think that Clinton's going to get him in trouble. Come on, George. Barbara's asleep. Come on out. I got 3 hotties in the Department of Interior. We got pizza and everything. Shoot. All right. Well, you watch the movie with me?
Yeah.
It's a travelogue. It's about Texas. It's called Debbie Does Dallas. He's going to get him in trouble. I'm telling you, he's going to get him in trouble.
All he needs to do, he gives him the plastic Jesus on the dashboard. There you go. He's happy.
No, but I hope Larry Craig wins his, retry, because I remember that he was in a barbershop quartet in the Senate.
Right.
And I think he was toe tapping to one of the songs in the stall, quite innocently. Goodbye, my Coney Island, boom, baby, bing, bang. And he was just tapping, and a cop nailed him. I'm sorry, I don't think.
Things happen.
It happens all the time.
It happens to everybody. You're sitting in a stall and you're playing football.
The thing is, I feel so sorry for him if he wasn't the gay community's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Barney Frank had a prostitute living in his house in Washington, and he said, you know what? I didn't realize he's going to turn tricks here. He's so cute, but I'm gay. I'm sorry. It was a terrible thing. The other guy's going, what? I never cut that policeman, and no gay marriage, and, a constitutional amendment. It's the hypocrisy that makes it a juicy story, and it's hard for me to
great material.
The only
been so cruel.
The only person I felt bad for was his wife, who's standing there staring at him like, "Who are you?"
Yeah,
and
looking and clapping. And the New York Times had a picture of her looking at him like he was, Nelson Mandela had just freed South Africa or something. It's hypocrisy. And Witter, the only thing Mr. Values from Louisiana is not being asked to leave is because there's a Democratic governor of Louisiana who would have appointed a Democratic senator, and they don't want to lose. So in other words, making out with a whore in Washington is not as bad as trying to maybe solicit sex in a men's room. First of all, that whole men's room thing, I mean, God, that is like, when you think about it, there's no place I'd rather spend less time.
Right?
When I have to go to an airport men's room, I look at my watch and try to be out in 20 seconds.
Hold your breath the whole time.
And try to fumigate myself to spend time, have sex in a stall. I mean, that's a little sick.
Did you ever have any idea that they have this?
Girls. What?
Did you ever have any idea that there's like this whole language and communication that goes on? Well,
no.
You just go to the can.
I heard about that. James Levine. You're not going to get sued. The Metropolitan Opera, the great conductor. A few problems in men's rooms, young men, whatever. I'd heard about park men's rooms and all that. Obviously, it can't. That's one thing that can't be a heterosexual thing because of the institutional. There's just as much perversion in heterosexuality as in homosexuality. I find it appalling and disgusting because if these are people who want anonymous, there's a risk involved. There is a certain, you should call it a kind of syndrome in which people engage in dangerous sexual practices. And if that isn't dangerous, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Some stranger. Because danger, not only maybe some disease, but you could get caught. I never walked into a men's room and saw 4 pairs of feet, whatever.
Right, one backwards, one frontwards.
Steam going off in a stall.
Yeah.
That's risky behavior, and this guy is like...
He's a United States Senator.
Well, but besides that, he's a United States Senator who wanted a constitutional amendment to prevent gay marriage, family gays. When someone is born, they're gay or they're not. When is everyone to realize that? Michelangelo and Da Vinci and whoever else, George Frederick Handel and, Babe Ruth. No, I'm just making that.
Purple Teletubby.
People, they're born that way. It isn't a choice. They're making it sound like a choice of some sort.
Right.
And I saw a great generation fade and die because of a mystical disease that was a little late in being coped with. Is it my cup of tea? Of course not. It turns me off. I don't want to think about, Larry Craig and some sexual act with a man. But people, quite naturally, there are so many straight gays who want to be married, who are committed. And here we want them not to be promiscuous, and you prevent them from the civil unions because of something in the Bible, and I just did appalling.
Well, listen,
anything else?
No.
I think I solved all the world's problems.
And we love that about you. Before we let you go, could you do me a great favor and do some kind of improvisational blues, whatever, station break that you're Robert...
All right, let me get my harmonica.
That'd be great. You're Robert Klein.
What's the name of the show, actually?
Hollywood Babble-On.
What's the name of your show?
Hollywood Babble-On.
Oh, Hollywood Babble-On, right? And I saw the way it's spelled. Very clever. Hold on.
Yeah.
He's getting his harmonica.
He just told me I was clever.
He did.
I'm gonna take that and run with it.
Put it down,
boy.
And
he's going to get his harmonica, and somebody just said, Marty, I haven't seen you blink for 5 minutes.
You haven't.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You're in awe.
I'm very excited.
You can hear that, right?
Oh, I can hear that.
Baby,
Beautiful.
Bring it on.
All right, I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to play into it and do a song about the Hollywood Babble-On.
All
You're
right.
the best.
I can't stop my leg. I can't stop my leg now. I can't stop my leg. Good afternoon, this is Robert Klein. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I'm from the Bronx. But we're on Hollywood Babble-On.
Hey, thanks so much, man. I appreciate that so much.
Pretty sick, huh?
Pretty
Amazing.
slick, fantastic, best one. And my buddy Zach Norman says to say hello.
Hey, good. Who?
Zach Norman.
Zach who?
Zach Norman.
Zach Norman.
The comedian.
Wait a minute, I know Zach
You
Norman.
do know Zach Norman.
Don't I? What? Wasn't he a comedian?
He was a.
And he's in movies?
He's in movies. Bald head,
I
mustache.
remember Zach Norman. I couldn't remember his name. He was a friend. Rodney Dangerfield introduced me to him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. And he was at Dangerfield's wedding.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Romancing the Stone.
He's not in the studio, is he?
He's
he
not.
married a real rich woman, right?
He married a rich, beautiful woman. Even better.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, man, Zach Norman. I can never remember his name. I have his face in front of me.
Yeah,
great.
He was the best man at my
say
wedding.
hello, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah.
And a good actor. Actually. I remember him in the movie. Hey, listen, it was a pleasure.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Klein.
I'm looking out at Central Park here. The sun is shining.
It's beautiful.
Whoa.
If you can make it
Beautiful.
there.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks,
Take it
Robert.
easy, man.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
And you too, Jessica.
Thanks, Robert. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.